Welcome to Pop's Party Family, where fun and magic come alive. New videos and shorts every day. Let's laugh, learn, and play. Hey!
As you saw in the previous part of the magic water pot, the miraculous healing water quickly transformed Jack Miller's small grocery store into the busiest place in Willow Creek. People from across Texas came hoping for a miracle, and countless lives were changed as the magical water healed the sick and injured. Despite the growing crowds and attention, Jack continued helping everyone without asking for money, earning the love and respect of the community. Soon, newspapers and television reporters made him famous as the Miracle Man of Willow Creek. But fame also brought temptation. A wealthy businessman offered Jack a fortune to use the magical water exclusively for the rich. Drawn by the money and the dream of a better life, Jack slowly began putting wealthy clients ahead of the poor. As his priorities changed, the magic inside the water jug seemed to fade, hinting that an unseen force was watching his every decision. Without realizing it, Jack had stepped into the greatest test of his life, one that would determine whether kindness or greed would shape his destiny. Now it's time for Part B, where Jack's biggest challenge is about to unfold. One sunny afternoon, a long black limousine stopped in front of Jack's store. Everyone turned to stare. A man wearing an expensive suit stepped out and introduced himself. "Good afternoon, Mr. Miller. My name is Charles. I work for Mr. Richard Harrison, one of the wealthiest businessmen in Texas. Mr. Harrison isn't feeling well. He would like you to visit his mansion immediately." The crowd waiting outside looked disappointed. Jack glanced at the long line of sick families and then back at the fancy limousine. Charles smiled and lowered his voice. "Mr. Harrison is very generous. Help him recover, and he'll pay you more money than you've ever seen." Jack swallowed hard. He had never imagined having that much money. He dreamed about fixing his old grocery store, buying a new pickup truck, and helping his family live more comfortably. The offer sounded tempting. After thinking for a moment, Jack apologized to everyone waiting outside. "I'm so sorry, folks. Please come back tomorrow." Although the people smiled politely, many of them quietly looked disappointed as they watched him drive away. Mr. Harrison lived in a huge mansion with beautiful gardens, sparkling fountains, and more rooms than Jack could count. After drinking a cup of the magical water, Mr. Harrison immediately felt better. He smiled, handed Jack a thick envelope full of cash, and said, "Anytime I need you, you'll come straight here. Don't waste your gift on people who can't even pay you." Jack didn't answer, but as he drove home, he couldn't stop thinking about the money sitting beside him on the passenger seat. From that day on, everything slowly began to change. Whenever a rich person called, Jack rushed to help them first because they always paid well. Meanwhile, poor families often had to wait for hours or even return home without seeing him. Buddy sat quietly outside the grocery store, almost as if he sensed something was wrong. One evening, Jack looked at the magical water jug and noticed something strange. For the very first time, the water inside didn't sparkle the way it always had. A cold chill ran down his spine. He had no idea that someone was watching every choice he made, and the greatest test of his life was about to begin. A year passed, and Jack became one of the most famous people in Texas. Television crews still visited his grocery store, and people traveled from different states hoping to receive a cup of the magical water. One hot afternoon, while Jack was counting a stack of money behind the counter, the old wooden door slowly creaked open. An elderly man wearing dusty boots, a faded blue shirt, and the same old cowboy hat quietly walked inside. It was the very same stranger who had asked for water 1 year earlier. His face looked tired, and his lips were dry. Looking gently into Jack's eyes, he softly said, "Son, may I have a drink of water?" Before Jack could answer, a shiny black SUV stopped outside the grocery store. A police escort pulled up behind it with flashing lights. A well-dressed officer hurried inside and said, "Mr. Miller, we need you right away. Governor Robert Collins's wife has suddenly become very sick during a charity event. The governor is asking for your help immediately." Jack looked at the old man, then at the officer. He knew helping the governor would bring national attention, newspaper headlines, and maybe even a huge reward. The old man quietly repeated, "Just one glass of water, son." Jack hesitated for only a moment before making his choice. "Sir," he said to the old man, "please wait here. I'll be back in an hour." Then he grabbed the magical jug and rushed into the SUV. As the vehicle sped away, Jack glanced through the window. The old man simply smiled and tipped his cowboy hat. For some reason, that smile made Jack feel uneasy, but he ignored the strange feeling. "This is my biggest opportunity yet," he whispered to himself. The governor's mansion was crowded with doctors, nurses, reporters, and security guards. Everyone stepped aside as Jack entered with the magical jug. Governor Collins shook his hand and said, "Please, you're our only hope." Jack confidently lifted the jug and reached for a glass. The room became completely silent. He tilted the jug once. Nothing happened. He tilted it again. Still nothing. He turned it upside down. Not a single drop fell out. The magical jug was completely empty. Jack's face turned pale. He shook the jug again and again, but it stayed dry. The governor frowned. The doctors looked confused. Reporters began whispering to one another. One little boy standing nearby innocently asked, "Mom, did the magic take a vacation?" Even in that serious moment, a few people couldn't help smiling. But Governor Collins wasn't smiling at all. He looked at Jack and said firmly, "Mr. Miller, miracles don't belong to people who forget why they were given." Heartbroken, Jack slowly drove back to Willow Creek. The envelope full of money beside him no longer made him happy. When he reached his grocery store, it was empty. The old man had disappeared. Jack searched every street, every park, and every corner of town. He asked neighbors, truck drivers, and even children playing baseball if they had seen an old man wearing a cowboy hat. Everyone gave the same answer. "No, we haven't seen anyone like that." Jack finally sat alone on the wooden porch and realized the truth. The magical gift hadn't disappeared by accident. It had been taken away because he had allowed greed to replace kindness. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He remembered the smiling faces of the people he had once helped without expecting anything in return. He remembered the little boy who had offered him his toy dinosaur, the grandmother who baked him apple pie, and the families who had thanked him with nothing more than a warm hug. Tears filled his eyes as he whispered, "I wasn't chosen because I was special. I was chosen because I cared, somewhere along the way. I forgot that." Buddy quietly rested his head on Jack's lap, as if reminding his best friend that it was never too late to become a good person again. The very next morning, Jack made a life-changing decision. Instead of chasing money, he used every dollar he had earned to build Willow Creek Community Health Center, the town's very first medical clinic. He invited skilled doctors, nurses, and volunteers from across Texas to help families who couldn't afford treatment. The people of Willow Creek were amazed. "Jack isn't just helping with magic anymore," one elderly man said. "Now he's helping with his heart." For the first time in months, Jack smiled without thinking about money. Several months later, on another warm summer afternoon, Jack was handing free bottles of cold water to travelers outside his grocery store. Suddenly, he noticed a familiar old cowboy walking across the street. Jack's heart raced. He hurried over, but before he reached him, the old man turned the corner and disappeared. In the exact spot where he had been standing, Jack found a small handwritten note. It read, "The greatest miracle was never inside the jug. It was always inside your heart. Keep serving others, and you'll never run out of blessings." Jack looked around with tears of gratitude, but the mysterious stranger was gone forever. From that day forward, Jack no longer needed a magical water jug to change lives. His kindness, generosity, and compassion became the true miracle that inspired everyone in Willow Creek. People remembered him not as the miracle man, but as the man who never stopped helping others. Children grew up hearing his story, and they learned that real heroes don't wear capes or perform magic. They simply choose kindness every single day. And whenever someone in Willow Creek offered a stranger a glass of water, they smiled and said, "You never know. One small act of kindness might become the greatest miracle of all." Moral of the story: true miracles don't come from magic. They come from a kind heart. When you help others without expecting anything in return, your kindness creates blessings that last far longer than money or fame. Greed may fill your pockets for a while, but compassion fills your life forever.
Thank you for watching. We're so glad you're here. Like, share, subscribe, and spread the cheer. Join the Hop Street